Hello everyone, my name is Hunter May. I'm the owner of May Crochets, and you guys loved my first Reddit video so much that I decided we're gonna do another one. And we're gonna actually start off with one of your requests. Before we start, like I mentioned in the first one, we are going to be talking about some specific designers and things. I definitely don't want extra drama coming out of this video, so please don't go and message them or comment on anything on their socials and talk about it. We're not doing that. We're just covering these just for good conversation within the topic that the post is about. So this one is from Christina at Equinox Yarn. So she recommended that I cover this. It's a designer who released a pattern claiming that they created their own stitch. So there's a lot of pictures associated with this one. There's a picture of the full sweater pattern release, and then the next picture is the caption underneath that, basically saying that this is a crochet pattern, but it looks like it's knit because of the stitch. I'm trying to read through it so we don't have to read this whole thing. Basically in this she says, from spending a year on trial and error to inventing my own stitch. So she's claiming that this sweater uses her own invented stitch. And people are commenting, the next picture is like, is this the waistcoat stitch? And she says, no, it's my own invented stitch actually. I spent a very long time working it out. Then another post from her, she spent tons of hours inventing this new stitch. Is it back loop only slip stitch? No, it's not. It will give a knit look as well, but it will be a ribbed look, not flat like this. There's no name for it since I invented it. Yeah, so a lot of these pictures are basically just showing that she invented this stitch. And yeah, let's go to what the post says. Okay, I'm on TikTok doom scrolling as one does, and I came across a video from this account. In this video and a few follow-up videos, she's adamant that she created a stitch that took her a year to come up with. She's released a pattern for this sweater that she is charging $10.99 for. The pattern will provide details on this stitch with purchase. I don't know stitch names outside of single crochet or slip stitch, but I do know how to do quite a few stitches, despite not knowing the names, and enjoy learning new stitches. This is not a knock on this creator, I'm just genuinely curious if this is in fact a new stitch or not. It looks like a stitch I've done, and then I guess they put two photos attached. It looks just like general slip stitch in the back loop type stitches. When I was first learning to crochet, I don't know the name of the stitch, but I can replicate it today if needed. I personally have no use for the sweater pattern, but I would be interested in learning new stitch if it is in fact new. I just do not think a stitch, regardless of origin, should be paywalled. What is your take? I think it's really interesting that she is claiming that she created a new stitch. I think it's very, very rare for anyone to invent a new stitch when it comes to crochet, just because crochet has been around for so long. Even if you somehow put in like a specific thing that no one else has really done, crochet has a really good way of giving terminology to literally everything. Like we have terminology for going in the front loop, for going in the back loop, for yarn over, extended stitch. We have so many names / terminology for different things you can do with the crochet hook. Even if you happen to do something unique that no one has done, we're probably going to be able to name it in some way. Unless there's literally no way to name the stitch, I wouldn't necessarily say that you invented anything new. So I think it's pretty rare that this person actually created something new. When it comes to stitch in crochet, that could mean so many things. Like we call a single crochet a specific type of stitch, but then we have things like the puff stitch that is a combination of multiple double crochets, but then you pull through all together. So it's like puff stitch is a stitch, but it's made up of double crochets, which are an existing stitch. So if someone invented the puff stitch, would we say that's a new stitch if it already uses previously known stitches? I don't know if this person's a beginner. When I think about learning a new skill, and I've definitely experienced this, I see it and have went through it all the time. When you first learn a new skill, once you're a beginner, you know that you know nothing. right? You know that there's tons of knowledge out there and you are a beginner and you accept that you literally know nothing. That is exactly where I am with sewing right now. I'm so beginner and I know I literally know nothing. But once you start learning some things, you compare to when you didn't know anything, and there's just like middle ground where you think you know everything now. I've definitely had that with crochet when I first learned. I thought I knew literally everything. I had that as a software engineer going through college, and so many of my male, what's the word? Not coworkers. The people in school with me, colleagues, no. Anyways, they also thought they knew literally everything, even though we just started. And then you get past that point where you get challenged yet again, and you're like, oh wow, I actually didn't know everything, and there's still so much to learn. So I'm editing here, and my husband told me that this does have a name that I'm talking about. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So if you guys want to look into it, but I was like, wow, I'm so smart knowing this, but I think subconsciously I just knew about this thing. Yeah, that's what this is called. And I feel like that's where I am with crochet, with software engineering. I know that I don't know everything, but I know more than what I did as a beginner. I think this person is in between a complete beginner and getting to that point. I think they are, I know literally everything there is to crochet. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, like the person in the post talks about. Like, I'm not trying to knock on this creator. In my head, that's what I think is happening right now. And that's totally fine. They just happen to have a situation where tons of people saw them going through that step in their learning process, which is kind of unfortunate. Things like this happen. Let's see what the comments say, because I'm curious to see what people think the stitch is. It looks really cool. It looks very knit. It almost looks like a half double crochet situation where you have the V on the side, like half double crochet mixed with slip stitches or something. I don't think this is a new stitch. She might have just combine stitches that haven't been combined that way before to make something that looks like this, which is still cool. Like, it's still a really cool thing to be able to come up with that design. So someone says, like, I definitely think she believes she invented it. Maybe she really did, but until we see it, we don't know. And that's honestly a good point. Like, back to what the post said, they don't think a new stitch should be behind a paywall. Yes, but I don't think that's what's happening here. Someone in the comments did say that they actually purchased this pattern just because they wanted to be able to see what the stitch was. Also, side note, $10 for a sweater pattern. I guess I don't know how good, like, if this is size inclusive and everything, it's not that crazy, okay? The written pattern, the stitch that it uses, is a yarn over slip stitch in the first loop only, mixed with, so I'm assuming that's one row, and then the other row is slip stitch in the back loop. Yeah, so those are definitely not new stitches. Maybe that's the first time those things have been combined. I will say that I do something very similar, but I always do it in the back loop for like ribbing and things. This is what I'm talking about with, like, we have terminology for literally everything. So even though maybe she's the only person to have done this, which I kind of doubt, we have terminology for it. We have yarn over, we have slip stitch, we have front loop only. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this. Thank you, Christina, for sharing this Reddit post. And if you guys have any suggestions or anything, definitely comment them down below for maybe a future video. So this next one is from 2 years ago, but I thought it would have an interesting discussion to it. So this one's called, I reached out to a pattern designer on Instagram for help and criticized her confusing instructions. She was really mad at me. Did I do something wrong? Basically, I bought a shawl pattern on Ravelry and the instructions were extremely difficult to understand. I would consider myself an intermediate crocheter and have made a wide variety of things over the 4 years I've been crocheting, but I could barely decipher any of it. It took me hours of repeatedly going over the pattern and the chart, reverse engineering the math on the chart because the numbers didn't add up or make sense to me. Plus multiple posts to crochet help forums before I finally put the pieces together and understood how to construct the pattern. In the midst of me posting on help forums and going over and over this pattern in frustration, I messaged the designer on Instagram to ask for clarification. I'll admit I could have been nicer. I wasn't outright rude, but I expressed my frustration at having such a difficult time understanding a pattern that I paid for. I felt the instructions should be better. She didn't answer my questions and only copy and pasted the exact text from the pattern back to me in a message, and then told me it was completely uncalled for me to question the quality of the pattern or the price. I Didn't actually question the price, but I did tell her that I was frustrated with the instructions given, the fact that I paid for the pattern, and essentially told me I was extremely rude and that all the information I needed was provided in the pattern. I did eventually figure the pattern out, but I stand by the fact that the instructions were poorly written and very confusing and difficult to understand. But I feel really guilty that I upset the designer because it wasn't my intention to offend or insult her, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't have reached out. At the very least, I feel like it was wrong of me to offer any criticism since it clearly wasn't welcome. I've seen other people talk about how we should let designers know if there's an issue with the pattern so they can improve it, but now I feel like a complete a-hole, and I'm wondering if I was in the wrong here since I did eventually figure it out. I also wanted to mention that English isn't the designer's native language, so I feel like she should have some grace in that department. English is hard, but it's also fair for me to expect to be able to understand and follow instructions on a pattern I paid for, right? I have a few thoughts on this. Number one, if you have an issue with a pattern and you've tried to understand it yourself, I don't think you should be scared to message the designer for help. That's what we're here for. I have people message me all the time with help, and I love it. I love being able to just directly help them. They paid me, so I am here to assist them in any way. So I think it's kind of weird that this person went to other sources first. They mentioned posting on crochet forums, like help forums and stuff, before reaching out to the designer. They were so frustrated from not getting help from other people that they took it out on the designer. And I don't really think that's fair. If they would have started with the designer right away, maybe this whole thing wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have been irritated because they hadn't figured it out for so long. And then they wouldn't have messaged the designer super irritated to the point where the designer probably felt like, why should I help you if you're being rude to me? Yeah, I feel like that would have solved everything, but here we are. This happened. I know this person was really frustrated, but not great to ask for help from someone being rude. Not great. I also, I don't love that she just glossed over exactly what she sent to the designer because we don't know how rude it was. Into the other question that this poster is asking, is it bad to criticize a designer? And I think definitely no. Obviously do it a kind way. Obviously the designer doesn't have to change it, but having that feedback I don't think is not necessarily a bad thing. Some designers are really bad at taking criticism. It's something you just have to learn to accept and be okay with. I'm wondering, did this go through testing? Because hopefully it did, but maybe it didn't, and that's why it's so rough. I think those are all my thoughts on here. I'd like to know what you guys think. Yeah, but never feel scared to message a designer for help. That's what they're there for. Don't feel like you have to go to help forums and stuff first. Go to the designer first. They're there to help you. You bought from them. They know their pattern better than anyone else, so go to them first. This next one was a year ago. It's somewhat kind of a fun, random one. I guess, I don't know. We'll see what you guys think. So this one is titled, Mom used all my yarn while I was away. Advice, please. So obviously this was a year ago, so if I give advice, who knows, but we'll do it anyways for fun. This person said, hey, so just for context, I'm a uni student and I keep most of my yarn at my parents' house while living in student accommodation just because I don't have enough space. I came back to visit the other day to find that my mom had used up most of my yarn for her own projects. I was devastated when I looked in my yarn basket to find only a few scraps left of my yarn. I try to buy most of my yarn secondhand and save it for future projects, so you can imagine how devastated I was to see most of it all gone. She has made multiple crochet blankets with the intention of selling them, but the blankets she has made are objectively very ugly and the color combinations are questionable. Okay, so the photo shows one of the better blankets. She only intends to sell her blankets for around £5 each, which is sad, both when thinking of the time she spent on them and the cost of the yarn itself. That is crazy low for a blanket. I'm such a perfectionist myself when it comes to crochet, to the point where I will frog something I'm not 100% satisfied with. So when I saw all the yarns that I had envisioned using for specific projects used carelessly and non-consensually in this way, I wanted to break down and cry. I really need advice on how to approach her and call her out for using all my yarn. Any advice is much appreciated. I always tell my husband that he should learn, that way we can get through all my yarn a lot faster because 2 people would be working on it. But yeah, if this is like thrifted yarn and everything and there was like a specific purpose for it, that really sucks. Most of the yarn that I'm thinking of are just things that I don't have any plans for and would love someone else to use it and actually have a plan for it. My first thoughts is that this person, I don't know, doesn't seem like they have a great relationship with their mother. And this isn't the first issue probably, and we don't know the whole history of everything. We can only speak to this situation. Yeah, my first thought is just have your mom buy you more yarn and make up for it. I don't know if this thrifted yarn was like a steal and it was like really good yarn and you happen to get it thrifted for a cheaper price, or if it was more you got the thrifted yarn to just save money. If that's the case and it's not the yarn itself, just make your mom buy you more yarn and then actually pay for good yarn that is for you. Yeah, there seems like some miscommunication here too. Like, why would your mom just think that you could just use your yarn? I don't know. Very interesting. Give her your best estimate of the worth of the yarn she took. Yeah. If she doesn't quickly offer to reimburse you, tell her all the blankets will have to be frogged so you can get your yarn back. Yeah, a lot of people are just talk to your mom, which I kind of think so too. Just have a conversation. It seems like this was like miscommunication all over the place, which is usually how most things like this happen. But yeah, that does suck. That really sucks for this person, and I don't really have tons of things to say. I just thought it was interesting post to talk about. Yeah, all right, we will get onto this last one. At the time of recording, this post is only 4 days old. It's on Craftsnark and it is getting a lot of attention right now. It has 213 comments. The title is 8 Days for a Crocheted Sweater Tester Call. You guys know I love talking about testing calls, so let's get into it. So here is the sweater in question. It's for the Wicked movie. This is their post for the tester call. In the caption here, we can see that they're looking for 6 to 10 crochet artists. I don't know if it's in different sizes. I'm not seeing like if it's made to measure or like anything else. The testing period though is 8 days long, and they said they made it in 3. I would be interested to see what size they are for finishing it in 3 days. I'm assuming probably a smaller size. Hard deadline, no extensions. This is crazy. Help promote the pattern when it's released. What does that all entail to help promote? Yeah, so the post just says the Instagram crochet community is back at it again. This account claims to advocate for chronic illness but warrants an 8-day pattern test. I got burnt out on Instagram because of how pyramid scheme most testers seem to be. Testers or like designers, and how ridiculous the Instagram community is. They're just straight to the point, like, this is crazy. I wonder if it's still available. Okay, so I looked up this person's Instagram. They're definitely on the smaller side, so it makes sense that it only took 3 days. Okay, so this is what I wanted to see. To apply, they have to follow her. They have to like, save, and share the post to their story. I hate that. Comment below if you'd like to test and tag 3 crochet artists you admire, and let me know if you've tested before and your favorite character from Wicked. Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to talk about that I hate testing calls that require you to like comment, like, save, share, tag just to apply. I think that's crazy. I do a form on Google. Having people have to tag, share your testing call, you want promotion way more than you want testers. Like at that point, just don't even get it tested because obviously you don't care about it that much. Yeah, I really hate it. Okay, let me get off my soapbox here. Really short deadline, terrible application process, nothing about what sizes this is, if it's made to measure. Unless I'm just glossing over it, I'm not seeing anything. So let's stop there. Obviously, a lot of people are bad about this in the comments. Since I came to her Instagram page, I see a community statement post that she put. This was 3 days ago. So in this, she said, I'm sharing a few screenshots of concerns of the tester call. She's a newbie to the crochet world with a year of pattern testing. I'm still learning. I have so much to learn and I'm always open to feedback. My intention is never to exclude or upset. So tons of DMs from people. How do I say this without being rude? I guess I can't. Your requirements for testing are absolutely inappropriate and ridiculous. Poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. This is wild. Okay, so after all the DMs, she put, feedback is important and I'm always listening. For future patterns and in the spirit of personal growth, I appreciate your insight on questions on the following slides. I'm speechless. This is so crazy. I know nothing about this designer. I don't know any patterns or anything that they have. I think if you are a pattern designer doing pattern tests, you should test other people's patterns first before just going into making your own pattern test. You need to know the ways in how to do it and experience being part of one yourself before you should actually run one, because you learn so much by being in other people's pattern tests as a designer. It almost sounds like this person has never, maybe that's just an assumption of mine, but I'm going to assume this person has never been in another designer's pattern test. They would be able to know, I can get it done in this long. This is the information that designers are providing within the testing call about the pattern so that testers know. I have no clue how this pattern is written. Is it a graded pattern? Is it a made to measure pattern? I know nothing. If I apply to test this, is she gonna have my size? No idea. How much yarn do I need? If it's 8 days, I need to make sure I have yarn. I'm not gonna be able to order yarn. I have a lot of thoughts. And I'm assuming you guys will as well. I'm interested to see what you guys say. I could keep going with it, but I feel like we're all in agreement, to be honest. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see what you guys say. Yeah, so many people are like, 8 days is crazy. The thing about doing 8 days is the only people that are going to sign up are going to be smaller body sizes. That is not a good framework for getting a pattern tested. You need to test tons of body sizes. Plus size people are not going to sign up for a pattern test that's only 8 days long. They're just not. They know that it's gonna take them a lot longer than 8 days. That's just how it is. Making a constraint of 8 days long is already setting your pattern up for failure to not being tested by everyone. Yeah, I think I should stop talking about it. That's all I have to say. There are a lot of people getting really rude and aggressive on this, so obviously don't be rude, but also call out things like this because this isn't okay. Yeah, I think I'm done talking about it. Those are all the posts that I have for you in this video. If you have suggestions of things that you want me to cover, comment them down below. Let me know your thoughts on everything that we talked about in this video. If you disagree with me, definitely let me know. Let's talk about it. I'm curious. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
I wish I could leave my skin behind in this old rented room, float my way across the great divide and be buried